I'd like to share with you for a moment about a subject that I think the Lord's really speaking to me about, but it's also a subject that can carry over into the marketplace as well. And it's simply called a risky life. Now, some people would think that having a risky life would be a life that would be taking physical risk, and like people that stand on the tops of motorcycles going 80 miles an hour down the highway and stuff like that. That's not what I'm talking about. If you're the kind of person that wants to do wheelies at 90 miles an hour, I'll pray for you. Probably do a lot of praying for you later, like come to the hospital and pray for you and such as that. I'm talking about taking a risk in life, in the generality of life, in the walk that you're in. Many people never take a risk whatsoever. They don't want anything to be risky in their life. They want everything to always be a sure thing. I want to tell you that you'll never really achieve a whole lot if you're always only looking after a sure thing. Okay, I started out real early in my life. I was really crazy. I actually, at 15, owned my own business. It's kind of risky for a 15-year-old. It's risky for my dad to let a 15-year-old own a business. That's how I paid for my first car, which I got by the time I was about 15 and a half, which was risky again. Dad taught me a lot of things that I was supposed to do right, and therefore he trusted me to do them. I took risk in life. I went into business for myself. By the time I was around 19, 20 years old, I was completely into full-time business for myself. I couldn't handle working for somebody else. It was as though I felt like I was caged up. There was something inside of me that kept screaming out. I found out later that I was a whole lot like a famous hockey player, Wayne Gretzky. Anybody know who Wayne Gretzky is? Man, that dude is something else, man. He's a player now. And he's been playing long enough, he's finally retired from it, and I think he owns the team now. So here's what he says: 100% of the shots you don't take don't go in. Can I say that one more time? 100% of the shots you don't take don't go in. Many people go through their entire life and don't take a shot. Don't try. The reason usually is because of timidity. They're usually afraid of failure. I think that we need to understand that failure is a part of life, period. You see, that's what's happening in our world today, is we're teaching our children that they cannot fail. And we'll reward them even for failure. Therefore, they never learn how to actually fail. There is a successful way of failing. There is. If you get all puffed up with yourself, get all mad at everybody else because you didn't do as good at them, you're not a successful failure. To fail successfully is to learn from your failure, get back up, dust yourself off, and go right back into the fray again. If you never go after what you dream of, you'll surely never achieve it. And if you have a dependence on someone else and their provision all the time, you limit yourself to someone else's dream. I don't have a problem that we usually, most of the time, most of us have to work for other people. And that's not a problem. You understand? That's not a problem. There's larger companies and corporations and monies and so forth and so on. And when we work for them, that's one thing. But should you always be the bottom man? I don't think so. I think there's got to be something that drives you to take a little chance here or there and push yourself on up, even though it may mean that you find failure from time to time. I don't know how many times Donald Trump has been broke. He's gone bankrupt dozens of times. But he gets back up. Sam Walton did not make it the first time he went out to develop a Walmart store. But my goodness, I believe somehow I think he got just a wee bit successful. We have to take risks from time to time. If you win, you'll be happy. If you lose, you'll be wise. Think about that. I learn from everything that I do wrong. If I learn nothing else, I learn not to do it again. Amen. Do you know that every time I learn not to learn something about losing and don't go back and do it again, that makes me a winner the next time I face that situation, because I'm not going to do the same thing over. Now, I do see some people that will make the same mistakes over and over and over and over, and it's like, okay, what's wrong with this picture? Somewhere along the way, you need to take a risk and step out of the norm and get out there and see something happen in your life. Pablo Picasso says this, I'm always doing that which I cannot do in order that I may learn how to do it. I said something a few years ago that stirred some people up. I said, I believe you can learn to do anything you want to do. Ladies, I believe you can learn to do tune-ups on your car and oil changes. Now, do you want to? I can tell you right now, my wife does not want to. But if she needed to learn it, she could learn it. I had people come up to me after I preached that message and simply said, I can't do that. That doesn't work for me. Yes, it does. It will work for you every time. Anything you apply yourself to, you can learn. You may not be the best at it, but you can learn to do it. I used to say I wanted to learn to play the piano. So I got behind the piano and I looked at the piano and I realized there's 6 strings on the guitar. There's 88 keys on the piano. And I looked at that and said, you know what? That's too much work. And I never did learn how to play the piano. Is it that I cannot learn? Or is it that I will not learn? Now, I can play a few chords, but you know, I am not going to risk playing those chords in front of Tanner. Y'all understand what I'm saying? How many of y'all want to sing with these singers? You know, it's like, I don't know. You know, I've had some people say, I don't mind preaching as long as I don't have to preach in front of you. Really? I used to think that way as well. I had a group of my peers that I thought, man, I don't ever want to stand in front of them and preach. And then I realized just how silly it was. And the day that I was going to preach in front of the biggest number of those peers was the day that one of my great friends called me on my way to the meeting and said, I have some advice for you. And I said, yes, sir, what's that? And he says, don't be silly. Don't act silly. Don't get in front of the men and act silly. Don't get up there and make excuses. Don't get up there and say you can't. And don't do that. Just don't do that. And so, I didn't. I got up and I did what I normally do. I found myself being successful in standing in front of them because I risked those words. Of all the people I've ever known, those who have pursued their dreams and failed have lived a much more fulfilling life than those who have put their dreams on a shelf for fear of failure. I urge you this morning, take a chance at life. Live a little. Well, I don't think people like me. Show yourself friendly. You'll find some that like you. You'll find some that don't. But you'll find some that do. I challenge you. You may need to take some chances. Some of you want to be in business for yourself. You'll never be in business if you never take the shot. There's ways to get in there and to do it and to make it happen. But somebody else will never put you in business. You have to put yourself in business. Some of you want to be boss on your job. Reevaluate why. And if you still want to be, make yourself so that your boss cannot do without you. That's right. Be of value to him. Don't expect him to give you a position. Earn the position and make it happen. Live a risky life. I think you'll like your life better if you do. Some of us are just flat boring. And we're bored. And we're miserable. And Jesus came to give us life and that more abundantly. So go ahead, try it. See what happens out of it. Amen? Amen.